Hey everyone, welcome to week 7, the last week in part 2 of We Win, our study in the book of Revelation. I'm so grateful that you have gone the extra mile and you're unpacking the last section of the 7 judgments today in your group. And I want to start and really concentrate on the big takeaway this week. And the big takeaway is it is done, right? We're gonna discover when the 7th bowl is poured out, the voice from heaven saying the judgments are over. It is done. And I want to take that in a personal way and apply it to all of our lives because all of us have a limited amount of time to do the things that God wants us to do. So back in Genesis chapter 5, it gives us sort of the account and the lineage of Adam's family, the original man. And it says this in verse 1, when God created mankind, he made them in the likeness of God. He created them male and female and blessed them. He named them mankind when they were created. And verse 3 says, Adam lived 130 years. And then he had some kids. And then at the end of Adam's quick little synopsis, it says altogether Adam lived a total of 930 years. And then he died. And then the next verse talks about Seth. Seth lived 105 years. And then it says altogether he lived 912 years, and then he died. And then the same thing was true with Enosh and Kenan and Mahalalel and Jared. They all lived these long lives, but they eventually died. Their life cycle, their lifespan here on earth was done. And I'll do one more. It says in verse 21, when Enoch had lived 65 years, he became the father of Methuselah. But it says this about Enoch. Enoch walked faithfully with God. Then he was no more because God took him away. So even Enoch, that apparently lived this rich, rewarding life to the point that God just took him to heaven. He bypassed the physical death process. Eventually, his life cycle here on earth came to an end. Now I want to jump into the New Testament. In Matthew chapter 25, Jesus tells a story about a wealthy owner who goes away for a long trip, and he calls in his stewards, his servants, and he entrusts his wealth to them. And to one of the servants, he gives 5 bags of treasure. And then to another, he gives 2 bags of treasure. And then to the third, he gives 1 bag of treasure. And he goes off and he comes back home. And when he comes back home, he says, okay, let's give a report on what happened. Give me a report on what happened. And so the one servant says, hey, I took your 5 and I earned another 5 more. He said, man, great. The guy who got 2 bags of treasure, he said, I earned another 2 bags. And the guy with 1 bag said, I know you're a hard guy and I didn't want to lose anything, so I just buried the sack in the ground. And here's your 1 bag back. Man, the master was not happy about this. He said, if you knew I was a shrewd business person, you should have at very least taken the money and put it in a CD at the bank so I could get some interest. And he said to that servant, he said, take the bag from him and give it to the guy who has 10 and cast him out. Guys, we've all been given talents, gifts, and abilities by God to use for him in our lifespan. And those first 2 servants heard from the master, well done, good and faithful servant. Guys, don't we want to hear, well done, when we come to the end of our lives as well? Hope this encourages you in a practical way as you engage in your study today.